Blake, how do you ride that fine line between celebrity and crazy?
Toby, we've already got call signs, but I'll be celebrity and you can be crazy as our backup.
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech director out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, the only one at Church Gear to drive a motorized wheelchair through a dinosaur exhibit in the middle of a wedding. And I'm here with my co-host, a man who would have ridden the dinosaur instead of the wheelchair, Toby Walters.
There's so many questions. I feel like I open every episode with that phrase, so many questions. But first of all, did you end our pre-intro thing with your call sign would be celebrity and I would be crazy?
Well, you know,
and
trying
then
to be
you
funny.
just said you rode a wheelchair through a dinosaur exhibit in the middle of a wedding.
In Union, Tennessee, which is the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that explains everything.
They've got a dinosaur exhibit, and they host weddings there because when you are a big event hall in West Tennessee, you have to generate revenue somehow. And so I drove the motorized wheelchair for my grandfather-in-law, like down the elevator to him, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you." And in reality, I literally volunteered to do it because I was like, "Oh, I can use this as a podcast intro," because it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
You're one of those people we see in Walmart riding around in the carts.
Yeah, I am.
Talking to themselves. Now, this is a perfect segue because I was just in California recently. As you well know, I am from the San Diego area, and so the family goes out a couple times a year to see the grandparents and hang out and see the homeland, so to speak. And
the homeland. It sounds like you're from another country.
Yes. I mean, California kind of is another country compared to Tennessee.
The things I've heard about it, if they're true, yes.
So, we see in California, there's a lot of two kinds of people. There are crazy people and there are celebrities. And sometimes you can't tell the difference. So I'm going to, and none of this is made up, Blake. My wife and I, we left the kids with the grandparents. We went up to the LA area for a few days to just enjoy, each other rather than our children constantly asking us questions. So in LA, there are a lot of celebrities and there are a lot of crazy people. So I'm going to give you a very quick description of this person and what they were doing. And you have to tell me, was that a crazy person or was that a celebrity?
Do I get a good boy if I get them all right?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll prepare a good boy.
I'm ready.
And first off, and this has nothing to do with either one of these things, I just wanted to say I drove by LeBron James' house. I looked it up on Google, and so I drove by. And it's a nice house, certainly, but nothing crazy.
I mean, he's the best basketball player of all time, so that's awesome.
Hello, Michael Jordan.
Who is Michael Jordan?
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I know who that is.
You're fired.
He was in Space Jam.
You're fired. You're fired again for knowing Michael Jordan because he's in Space Jam.
Bohemian Rhapsody was a great movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so your first scenario is scruffy-looking, unkempt man at farmer's market asking people for coffee.
Homeless.
I didn't say homeless. I said crazy. But yes, crazy, generally, I'm referring to homeless.
Unhoused, my bad.
So you're saying crazy homeless person.
I'm just saying crazy person.
No, that was a celebrity.
Who was it?
So I recognized him from Dumb and Dumber. He's kind of a bit actor, and he's been in 100 different things when I found him on IMDb, but I recognized him from Dumb and Dumber. He actually wrote and was a guest in a couple Seinfeld episodes. He's been in a lot of stuff. His name is Fred Stoller.
Okay.
So that was a celebrity. The next one was a young buff guy with no shirt shouting obscenities.
I'm going to say that was a celebrity. Arnold Schwarzenegger lives in California.
Incorrect. That was a crazy person walking on the street. My wife and I were having coffee one morning in Beverly Hills at a coffee shop, and it was the loudest, craziest person I've ever heard up till this point.
I was about to say, Toby, you've been in a room with me.
And he was walking along the street in absolute crazed state and shouting obscenities at the top of his lungs. So it was quite interesting. Okay.
On your virgin ears, you heard that. Oh, goodness.
Next, a tall, twitchy man unshaven in a dirty t-shirt with very red eyes talking about not being able to read.
Celebrity.
Celebrity is correct. Blake, are you a fan of Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Do you remember Sewage Joe?
No, that's not a celebrity.
He's absolutely. I love Sewage Joe. Okay. So the next is an old gray-haired man in dirty jeans doing a Donald Trump impersonation.
I'm going to say crazy.
Wrong.
Ah,
That was a celebrity.
who?
Blake, I'm going to be very disappointed because I'm sure you don't know who this is, but it was Dana Carvey.
Oh, yeah. That's an actor, right?
From what?
I don't know.
So,
30 Rock?
No.
Okay.
He was on Saturday Night Live
I
for
thought it was a girl.
many years. And then he was, he's on a lot of movies, but he's known as Garth in Wayne's World.
I do recognize the term Wayne's World.
Okay. Now, a man in a dress with purple hair standing next to my car.
Crazy person.
It was absolutely a crazy person.
I got all but 2 right, so it's not too bad.
And you got one left.
Oh, snap.
A buzzed, bleached, blonde-haired woman yelling the F word every second sentence.
Oh my gosh, this is the hardest one yet. I am going to say celebrity because Kristen Stewart lives there. If I'd gotten that exactly right, dead
You are
on, would you have
correct.
pooped yourself?
So most of these things happen because my wife and I went to a comedy club, and in LA or in New York as well, like comedy clubs are gold in that you don't know who's going to be there.
Was that really Kristen Stewart?
No.
Oh,
But so we went to the comedy club, and that was where we saw Dana Carvey and Sewage Joe. Now, the one guy at the farmer's market, we just happened to see him. But at the end of the night, the host at the comedy club said, "This is kind of a surprise thing. I texted her this morning, asked if she wanted to come to a set." And it was Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. She's got blonde hair now?
She essentially she shaved her head because she had to wear a wig for whatever she's shooting right now.
I love Tiffany Haddish. I think she is probably one of the funnier people in TV. She was great on Girls Trip.
And she was hilarious in that even what she was saying wasn't that funny, but because she is who she is in her personality, it was hilarious.
There are just some people that are funny because they are them. Speaking of people who are funny because they are them, speaking of celebrities and also just general crazy people
from California.
Bringing in the production/program director of Sungrove Church in Elk Grove, California, Sweet Pete.
Hey guys.
Sweet.
By the way, I think I'm too turtly for the Turtle Club.
You're too turtly for the Turtle Club?
What?
What? Did Dave tell you to say that?
Oh no. Oh no. That's a Dana Carvey movie, man.
Oh.
I'm embarrassed myself. What movie is that?
Yeah, take that, Toby.
That is the Disguise movie, and he dresses up as a turtle to go to a party because he has to be it's called the Turtle Club, I think, in the movie.
I don't know that one. I love Dana Carvey.
Impossible Disguise or something like that.
Man.
We can look it up.
Yeah.
Blake's gonna look it up. I thought Blake would know that because he's a movie guy.
I'm a movie guy starting in 2014.
Oh my gosh, he is the worst movie guy ever.
Okay.
You know
well,
what?
he didn't really know that Dana Carvey was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Or a
anything like that,
male.
so
Now, Sweet Pete, quick question. If people describe you, would they say you are more a celebrity or a crazy person from California?
oh, I'm definitely a crazy person from California. I'm not a celebrity. I mean, if you've seen any of my posts on Instagram, on my stories, I am a guy who walks at night and yells at my phone out loud in the middle of the night. So definitely a crazy person.
I think that's both of them is what they do. That is what they do. All right. Time to do our 5 truths and a lie. Although Sweet has made it harder on us.
He's got 7.
He's got 7. I mean, that's the Lord's number. All right. Number 1, worked with a billionaire for a year. That's what I'm presently doing.
Mhm.
Number 2.
Who's the billionaire?
Wait a minute, Toby.
Is that me?
Do we not make as much money as I thought we make?
Did I crest the 1,000-air mark and go straight to billionaire?
Number 2, drove a live truck in the middle of a hurricane.
What's a live truck?
I was just about to ask, is this a
As
Cars
opposed to a
situation?
dead truck?
Number 3, a 2-time World Series winner swam in my backyard pool.
Okay.
World Series in what? Number 4.
Baseball,
No, you did not
dude.
just say that, Blake.
No,
Baseball.
World Series of Poker. Like that's
Nobody would assume it's
Oh,
the World Series
okay.
of poker.
but that's a thing. I love poker.
It is
Oh
a thing.
my
I give them that, but
gosh.
World Series baseball, World Series.
Come on, dude.
I just
You're
love
fired
I
again
love
just
football.
for that.
Number 4, rode in an Indy car at 200 miles mph. Number 5, I'm just kidding. I know that's miles per hour. I'm just messing with you. Number 5, had a job interview at ESPN during my first date with my wife.
I'm surprised you didn't call it Espen.
I should have. See, I'm a big NFL guy though. Number 6, was a runway model during my childhood. Now listen here, Dave Roediger was also a childhood model, so this is going to be weird. Number 7, a cow broke my foot during breaking news.
That's breaking news right there. He broke his foot.
That needs to
Did
be
you see what I did
true.
there?
Yes, you beat me to it.
Okay.
Toby, what do you think here?
Oh man, these are crazy.
It could so easily be the Indy car was going at 202 miles per hour.
Or he never actually got up to 200 miles an hour. See, a lot of these kind of like the breaking news, the ESPN, I could see him riding an Indy car if it's something that was like involved in an ESPN thing where they're like, hey, anybody want to ride while you're shooting this ESPN thing? Worked for a billionaire for a year. Like, I mean,
That's
do you
so
count-
specific.
If you work for ESPN, do you count like the head of Disney that
That's a
owns
sh-
ESPN?
That's a stretch. He's not a billionaire.
I'm going to just go with the World Series of poker.
Okay, I'm going to say the live truck in the middle of a hurricane because they don't have hurricanes in California. All right, Pete, we're locking in.
All right. Are those your guesses?
That's the guess.
We got World Series and we have live truck.
Yep.
All right. I did not break my foot
Ah,
during breaking news with a cow,
We had
but
s-
I
we had
did
so much hope
cover
for
a
you.
cow during breaking news, and I broke a camera. I did not break my foot.
What was wrong with the cow? Why were you covering it?
The cow got loose in downtown Elk Grove, and they sent me to go cover it to try to get it back into, for it's not running down the street. So
Speaking of crazies in California, cows are running wild in Elk Grove.
It had mad cow disease.
yeah, but I did break the camera because I was using a TVU unit, so it's a backpack situation where you're broadcasting out off the backpack, and I didn't realize that I was still plugged into the camera, and I turned to walk away from my camera on a tripod and took it down.
Would you rather have broken your foot, or are you like, nah, the camera's just break the camera?
I would much rather break the camera. To tell you the truth, I've never broken a bone in my body.
Same.
I don't think I have either.
Okay, so
Who was the World Series winner?
Okay, so the story behind the World Series winner is Shane Victorino in 2001 swam in my backyard pool because in my hometown of Yakima, Washington, we had a minor league baseball team called the Yakima Bears, and my family housed baseball players for 10 years during my childhood. So we always had baseball players in our house, and we asked one of our friends, family friends, that they should house a baseball player. They housed Shane Victorino, and he came over and swam in our backyard. So he won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox and with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was in the Dodgers minor league baseball system, and some people may know him as the Flying Hawaiian.
So was he the billionaire you worked with for a year?
He's not a billionaire.
Who was
No,
that?
Shane Victorino is not a billionaire. The billionaire I worked with for a year was in the second and third station I worked at. Her name was Jamie Kern Lima. She was the founder of It Cosmetics, and she's a best-selling author of the book Believe It. So she sold off her It Cosmetics company, I think, to L'Oreal, and they gave her like $1 billion for it.
Oh my gosh.
How
Okay.
much is your cosmetics company worth, Blake?
It helps people that sweat yellow gunk at night, which is only me. So it's not
That's
worth a lot.
disgusting.
They are
A
using
little
it,
story. Oh, go ahead.
They are using it to cure cancer though. So
Your YOLO gunk.
yes.
I was going to say, if you read her book, Believe It, she talks about working at a news station and I may have worked at that news station.
So before we move to your questions, we've got to hear the first date with your wife was when you were interviewing with ESPN. Was your wife interviewing you?
No, my wife was not interviewing me. This is actually a story I have only told like one or two people. I actually didn't even tell her I was interviewing with ESPN while we were on our first date. So my wife and I reconnected via Facebook. We knew each other through childhood, through our church. I flew up back to our hometown, and at the same time, ESPN set up an interview for me to fly out to Bristol, Connecticut to do an interview there. And so I got off the plane in Seattle, and I told my future wife, dating at the time, that, hey, I can't tell you where I'm going, but in 2 days I am leaving, and I'll be back in a day. I'll be back in 2 days after that, and then we'll resume hanging out.
Did she just assume you were in the CIA?
She had lots of questions when I came back. But yeah, it was a fun experience. I flew out to Bristol, had the interview. There was no job opening interview. I had called a bunch of times and was like, I want to work at ESPN. And they're like, okay, you've bugged enough people. We want to meet you in person. Come on out. And yeah, it was a fun time. Ate in their cafeteria, toured the facility, and then flew back, and then resumed my date with my soon-to-be wife.
Did you ever get to work for ESPN?
I never worked for ESPN. I have several friends that currently are working for ESPN.
Blake, do you think we could make this happen for Sweet Pete?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, aren't we syndicated on ESPN?
Yes, this is an actual sport,
Because we know what the World Series is referring to.
Of poker. It's on ESPN. Okay.
And wait, one more question, because these are all so fascinating. What does it feel like to go 200 miles an hour in a NASCAR?
Well, it was not a NASCAR. It was an Indy car. It was at the Sonoma Raceway.
I don't know the difference.
Was that your lie?
No, the cow.
The
was
cow.
the lie.
That's right. That's
Come
right.
on,
Cow. Moo.
Boo. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was a kind of a lifetime experience. Our sports guy couldn't go out. He was like, hey, can you go out and do a ride around the track? And got to meet Mario Andretti that day.
That's a name I know.
That was really fun.
Man, he's got like a video game and everything.
Oh my gosh. He also works at Church Gear. Mario and Luigi. Okay, so tell us about getting your first church tech job, because you didn't start off like in church tech.
Sounds like you were in the news.
Yeah. So tell us the news. Break it down.
Yeah. Well, you want me to tell you the news, or you want me to tell you how I got started in
Please don't tell me the
church
news.
tech?
The
That'd
news
be
is
funny if you literally started reading the news for us.
The news is the most depressing thing that has ever existed.
Yeah. So I worked in broadcast news for about 17 years. And I did an internship with a church a while ago. And then my wife and I started to attend Sungrove Church here in Elk Grove and got connected with our pastor. Our pastor had invited me into his men's group, and he kept on poking me. He knew what I did for a living, and he was like, when are you going to come work for the church? And kept on going. And then one day I was like, hey, you want to go grab lunch? And we talked about it. I came on staff in 2019 as the program production director, and then 25% of my job title is I help out with the youth staff. Yeah, so that's how I got onto staff. You want me to continue to go? Or?
Drew said there was some kind of interesting tidbit. Drew Hester, new hire at Church Gear. He said there was some kind of tidbit about how you got hired that was kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing is that, not getting hired, but so I'll continue the story. Let me go with that. I think I know where he's going with that when Drew says there's interesting fact. Yeah, so this is the crazy thing. When I got asked to be kind of on staff about a year before that, our senior pastor kind of was like, hey, we need to go online, do online church. And so this is the summer of 2018. So I get on staff. We're supposed to go online church. We're going through a lot of meetings, and they approved us to do online church. And we're setting it all up. We got approved to do it, and we're testing stuff out and everything. And 2020 hits. We're supposed to go live with online church in June, July of 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020, where pandemic hit, and our elders kind of asked myself and a coworker at the time, hey, can we do online church basically in 2 days? And we'd already been testing it out, and we said, sure. So we pivoted really quick, and they go, we're going to do online church the first weekend. So we kind of, it was a godsend that we were blessed that our pastor had this vision to do online church. We were ramping up to do it, and then as soon as pandemic hit, we were able to just start online church.
Wow, that is incredible. What providential timing?
I think you're close enough.
There we go.
Yeah. So Blake and I, all we know, our experience with news production comes from the show Newsroom.
Well, and my best friend being a news producer for Burt Guy for 5 years.
So, I mean, TV and movies makes news production look like chaos. Like you never know what's going to happen at any given moment. You got to be ready to go. You got to be running. So you've experienced that. You're going to have to correct us in what it's actually like, and then talk about what was that like, and then transitioning into church. How is it different? How do you experience some of the same things?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple movies that probably show it pretty well. I did a lot of morning news. I did some night news. It is chaos. I mean, there's a lot of content. You're doing a lot of hours of television during the day. So I kind of figured it out. We did roughly about 6.5 hours of live news a day. And if you put that in perspective with what a typical church does for a week, you're maybe doing 2 hours. If you're a larger church, you're doing maybe 4 or 5 hours of live broadcasting for the whole entire week. And we were doing 6 hours of live broadcasting on, every single day of the week.
And I assume that 6 hours per day is a lot of like variety and different things rather than, a church service is just an hour and a half straight, one production.
Yeah. So I worked on the morning show, so we had a 2-hour chunk of time a lot of the times where we went live for 2 hours. Then we did a variety show for about an hour here in Sacramento, and then we had a noon 30-minute show, a 5, 6, and 11 at night. Sometimes once a week we did a sports show on Sunday nights. So yeah, there's a variety, and that's just the regular everyday week. And that's just what we're broadcasting live. So there's cut-ins, there's tapings, there's all the content for online that still has to be done. And then that's not even adding in breaking news. So if you were to have a big breaking news story hit while you're on air, or even if you're not on air, you can go live for 7-8 hours at a time, where it's like, hey, I know you were supposed to get off at 11:30, but it's now 7:00 at night and you're still here and you're still in the seat.
But a cow is loose downtown, so somebody's got to cover it.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a fun one, right? With the cow.
Did you at least get some milk at the end?
I did not, but I got teased about it for a while. That I chased a cow. That was a cow wrangler for a long time.
I think it might start back up again, getting teased for that. We're going to pump the internet full of Sweet Pete getting chased by cows.
Just like you'd pump that milk out of that cow.
Is there any footage of you chasing this cow?
Wait, did they send you to catch it like as a joke and then they filmed you? Or were you just filming it running away?
No, there was other people out trying to catch the cow and get it back into the truck. Um, it was not just our station that was covering this cow. There was, every other television station in town.
What's going on in this area?
Yeah. It's a little rural. Yeah.
Here's
That's a hard
all right,
word.
actually, I have a whole thing about this word. You can't say it right because when you say it, you have to be like rural. Like it sounds wrong in your mind.
I can say it right. You're just not hearing it right.
Say it, Toby.
Rural. No, you're
Rural.
It's like you got marbles in your mouth.
It sounds like you're a frog ribbiting. Rural.
We're really getting off subject here.
Okay,
so talk to us about, now you transition to church, and how is the pace of life different as far as being a broadcast director, tech director at church now?
Yeah, I mean, you go from doing 6 hours of news in a day to doing 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours of church live in a week. But when I first got here, again, we weren't online at the time. So it was, we're trying to get things set up, and it was a little slower pace. We were doing a lot of videos at the time. So we'd shoot some videos, but, shooting a video news is you get about 2 hours to maybe shoot a minute 30 package, and then it airs in 2 hours. Whereas in the church, you shoot a video that's 2 or 3 minutes long, and it takes you all week to edit it, and it's just a different pace.
And what about like the creative element? I assume with the news, like it's not so much that you're getting creative, it's you gotta, static camera shots. But with church, there's more of like an artistic feel to it. I mean, I'm not a broadcast guy, so you're gonna have to educate me.
Yeah, I mean, in news, we ran a 4-camera setup, and they're robotic cameras, and you have one person running robotic cameras. By the time I was at the point where I was moving on to work at the church, is the technical director at the television station was using automation. So we were coding, and we were using the program that we were using was Sony ELC, and coding all the cameras, all the microphones, all the graphics, everything. We were kind of like the one-man band, which, in church tech, a lot of people are the one-man band, and then they have volunteers that help run that stuff.
And handling the stress of TV, did that prepare you for the stress of church? Was church maybe potentially still more stressful than TV? I mean, I'd have to imagine TV felt more higher stakes.
I think that's an interesting question that you asked, Blake.
I thank you, Sweet Pete.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is how I think of it. Everyone wants to hear the news, good, bad, or ugly. Not everyone wants to hear the hope of Jesus. But I will say, when you're working in broadcast news, there's a lot of professionals. So everyone is trained. Everyone knows what's supposed to happen. And I did it for so long that it was not really stressful. It was just dealing with, people. Then you come over to the church, and what you're dealing with is people. I mean, no matter where you work, you're dealing with people. And I think the sense of working at a church is what gave me hope, is because what I did at the television station, no one knew what I was doing. No one cared. It didn't really mean anything other than, hey, the cow is loose downtown and I can't drive down that road, right? And when you're at church, everything that you do matters, because people's lives matter and their souls matter, and people need to hear the gospel and the heart behind it and the hope and the love that Jesus provides. And that's what churches do.
So TV was kind of utterly meaningless.
Oh,
I mean, I won't say it's meaningless, but for me at that point, it was.
You missed the jokes.
I really just wanted to say utterly.
I'm sorry.
For the cow.
He said utterly.
Oh, utterly.
Utter cow.
No, that's all I was saying. So, but going back to TV,
Blake, you're fired for that stupid joke.
it was great. Were you surprised at the level of relationship that's involved in church tech versus TV? Because I would imagine
Yes.
there's a lot more in church tech world than there is in TV world.
Yeah, I mean the relationships that you have in television are with your coworkers, and in church tech it's with your volunteers and with your coworkers and with every person that attends your church. And instead of just trying to make sure that the news is on the air and everything goes smoothly, you're trying to be dynamic and try to reach people for Jesus. If that answers your question.
In the television world, I'm assuming you have interns and such, but you're not. I would guess you're not really building up and developing people. Whereas in the church world, we've talked about it time and time again. So much of the tech director's job is to build up the next generation and volunteers and just develop people to train them. Did you experience a lot of that? Was that a shock for you, or was it more like, oh, this is great, let's do this?
So it wasn't a shock because I was looking forward to that. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to come and work at the church, was to help people volunteer and be successful. I also look at church tech ministry as a way to send people out and do missional work into their career. So I hear a lot of people who are like, hey, I'm leaving church tech because I'm going to go work on tour, or I'm going to go work at a news station, or I'm going to go work on that. And I'm like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's great, but still be the hands and feet of Jesus, and still be that person that people look at and they go, that person's different, and I want to be like them, and point them back to Jesus. At the television station, I did a lot of training in my position. We had, we did have interns, we had production assistants. So you're training them how to run cameras and audio and be a photog and direct and switch and all that stuff. So I actually I'm the rare church tech person. I am not gear oriented. I'm more leadership oriented, and I like the leadership portion of it, and I like the people portion of my job.
That's so fun to, you leave one place where it's, and I've experienced this, you work in a business setting and it's corporate, and, you're having a bad day, like, I'm sorry, but you got to get your work done. And, it's always our hope and our passion as people in the church that we care about the relationship, and we want to build people and take the time to engage in that relationship. And so and I know for a lot of tech directors, like, it's not necessarily natural. They're tech directors because oftentimes they're introverts and they don't want to do the relationship building. And so I just love hearing someone like you, like, getting into the church and being excited about building those relationships. One thing I remember, it's triggering in my mind that I feel like the first time I ever heard about you, Sweet Pete, was something to do with the MXU 75-day challenge. Did you partake in this 75-day challenge?
I did.
What were your results, my friend?
My results at the time after 75 days, I think I lost something like 26 pounds.
That is,
I think
amazing.
Blake is on Instagram right at the moment, so he can pull up. I think I did a post or a reel about
Do you want me to
the
do
results of that. Yeah, that'd
let's
be
do
great.
I think
But
Lee was
go
talking
ahead.
about this crazy bearded man that was, really getting to the 75-day challenge. And I think Lee was saying, like, man, I am being called out by this crazy bearded man. So
I actually really love this, and I think about it often, though. Where would you be if you had not quit?
Oh, yeah.
Because, Sweet Pete, I have recently gained 20 pounds. So
Blake, you took the 75-day challenge a little differently.
I took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So how much was it total?
I want to say it was 26 pounds. Is that correct?
Your real
math
moves,
is hard, but you
your
look
real
like
moves
you
so quick.
changed the shape of your body, dude.
I think you're no longer allowed to be Santa.
I know.
Oh, can I tell a funny story about the Santa thing?
Yes.
Please.
Okay, I know it's not 75-day MXU thing, and we can get back to that in just a second. But yeah, people do look at me, and I was just on a youth campus for youth camp at down south in Southern California, and everyone who walked by was like, "What's up, Santa? What's up, Santa?" But the funny story with the Santa thing is my family and I love to go to the House of the Mouse. Is that what we want to call it? Can I use the actual word
Sure.
or no?
Yeah. Why would we care?
Yeah.
Okay. So we love to go to Disneyland, and we went for our first time during Christmas when it's all decorated for Christmas. And the Grand California Hotel, there's a gigantic Christmas tree, and there's this very large chair sitting in front of the Christmas tree. And as a joke, I was just going to post it because people look at me and they look like, "You're Santa." So I told my wife, I was like, "I'm going to sit down. Can you take a picture really quick? And then I'm going to get up, because if I sit here for too long, it's going to happen." And I don't think I was in the seat longer than about 15 seconds. And this little girl walks by, and she stopped. She looked at me and she goes, "Santa?" and I waved, and her mom was right with her. And I go, "How are you?" And she goes, "I'm good, Santa. Thank you." And I go, "Have a good day."
And for
And
our
her and her mom-
listening audience, just to clarify, Sweet Pete has a
Majestic.
incredible, majestic, long beard.
Phenomenal. Adjectives were made so they could describe the beauty and majesty of this beard. You looked at her and you're like, Santa's not real, kid.
I'm going to crush your
So-
spirit.
Oh, no.
Hey, going back to, because I want to answer you guys' question about this MXU 75. I got started with that. I saw that they did a couple podcasts and talked about how people's in the production world, people's health, people do not focus on their health. And I agreed with that. And I was like, I am the resemblance of that statement of people in production do not value their health. That are going all the time. And I was my wife and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary in June. And I knew that was just enough time after the start of that 75 days that I might be able to get in shape for my 10-year anniversary. So I jumped on that bandwagon, and I was like, I'm in. I'm all in. Whatever they ask, I'm going to do it. And, yes, I lost some weight, and I might have gained some of that weight back from that. But what it did is it told me that if you're consistent, and sometimes just being outside, going for a walk, it can clear your head. And I think for a lot of tech people, we're so much in our heads, and we're doing that we don't take time to just rest and maybe have a moment with God or be present of where we're at, because we're so worried about the next thing. And doing that 75-day challenge just really showed me that being outside, being able to have 15 minutes, because it started out with doing a 15-minute walk and drinking some water. And then it ramped up from there. But being outside for 15 minutes, going for a walk and just kind of clearing your head really helped my day be better. Or a lot of the times I've done it at night, and it clears my head before I can go to sleep and get some rest. So yeah, we're still going. Hey, it went from a challenge to, I think we did another 25 days going up to that ended at Philo, and we completed that 100 days, and then it's still going. So we're on day right now of the podcast. We're at day 177, and we're still going. It's a healthy lifestyle challenge.
That is awesome. And I just realized this is actually the second time Sweet Pete has been on our podcast.
He was on it at Philo.
Yes, he totally crashed the party at Philo, which is awesome. Blake, I'm starting to think that maybe Sweet Pete is not just a crazy person, but also a celebrity with this beard, with the Santa, with the 75-day challenge. I feel like maybe he should be known kind of as the crazy celebrity
of church tech.
And that sounds like a dream job to me. Pete, we wanted to ask you, and maybe there are two different answers. What was your dream job when you got into tech? Maybe you said it was ESPN. And what's your dream job now? And the cliche of your in your dream job at your church? Let's just take that off the table. We all know.
Yeah, I'm in my dream job right now.
So tell us
Okay,
your dream jobs.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what the dream jobs are currently, and then I have a really fun story that kind of, yeah, it's a kind of a God story. So I'll tell that. I know I'm probably going long. Blake's like, "Hey, man, wrap this up."
No.
I am
or-
not. I'm leaning back. I'm a very long person. I have to
Long
stretch.
person?
I'm 6 foot long.
So currently, I would say, I don't know if I have a dream job out there. I would like to do some things. Like I would love to.
That's what I say every day when I wake up at church here. I'm like, I'd like to do some things, and then I just do nothing.
Yeah, but I would love to be a part of some like some things that I've seen that I think would be really cool. I have never done a live sporting event on a professional level.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So like
Been
I would
part of
love
the production.
yeah, I would love to be a part of a production of like a baseball game or a football game.
I thought you
or-
meant like being in the game for a second there.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to see me playing third base for the Dodgers here really quick.
That'd be
Wait,
amazing.
the third baseman for the Dodgers already has a beard, so yeah, they already have that handled.
That's fun. Okay, keep going. You said you wanted to
yeah,
do some
so-
things.
So a live sporting event, I would love to do a live sporting event. We'll work basketball, baseball, football, you name it. I would love to run a camera, switch or direct something like that. One of the other things that's kind of been on my thought process for the last couple of years is I would love to help out with the Passion Conference. And I know that there's some people who might hear this who might help out with the Passion Conference. And if you need some help, let me know, because I would love to just be in the room and help out, run a camera, be in the booth, anything like that. That's one thing.
Let's just throw the gauntlet right down now on the Church Gear podcast.
Right
to
down
say,
now.
Anybody and everybody listening, part of the Passion Conference, dude, get Sweet Pete.
And send me a ticket too, because I've never been and I've heard it's really cool. So we should go. We should go as a company. That'd be great. We can go watch Sweet Pete.
Great. We're all going to jump on Sweet Pete's bagwagon.
We're all gonna grab
We're gonna
onto a
get
beard hair.
Sweet Pete to Passion, and then we're all going to ride his coattails there.
Yep. I'm
His
gonna
beard
ride his
tails.
beard hair. Yep.
Yeah, so that would be some of my current ones, you know.
And obviously, you dreamed of working at ESPN.
I did dream of working at ESPN, and they shut me down really quick after that interview because I kept on bugging them, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen." So
They just send you that
yeah.
meme of Randy Jackson. It's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, basically. So the funny story about this is the God story that I wanted to tell is when I was in high school, I wanted to be an actor in high school. I was my junior year as our mascot. I wanted to be an actor, and I had a counselor come up to me and go, "Hey, if you really want to be an actor, you should find out what happens behind the scenes, like behind the camera." And so I took a class at our local
Community
technical
college
school. Yeah, it was like a technical school. So I did high school and college basically at the same time in the tech school, and I fell in love with the tech because I figured out that sometimes the most creative people are behind the scenes and not in front of the camera. So that got me going into tech, and one of the assignments that my professor did is, "Hey, what do you want to do? What is the dream now?" And so 20 years ago, while I'm in high school, I knew I wanted to live in California. I knew I loved the Dodgers because Dodger players lived in my household, my childhood. But I didn't want to deal with the traffic of LA. San Francisco was too big and too just on top of each other. And so I circled on the map Sacramento, California as the destination. And I thought it was going to take me my whole entire career to get to Sacramento. And for some reason, God was like, "Hey, this is like the third location you're going to be at." So I left home, went to another television station, applied to a lot of places, and I just saw a job opening in Sacramento, and I was like, they're never going to hire me, but I'll apply just because I've applied to 84 other places around the country. And they called me up. I had an interview here, and 2 days later, they were like, hey, when can we move you to Sacramento? And I've been here ever since. I have had multiple job interviews elsewhere, wanting to leave Sacramento for a very long time. And for some reason, God has always shut the door on those opportunities. And I think it's now that I'm starting to realize that I am in Sacramento. God put Sacramento on my heart for a very specific reason. And he's going to show it to me. And he's not going to let me leave until he shows it to me. So that's why I'm still here. I think our church is going to do some amazing things in the future. And God is going to use us as a church to reach this community and bring revival. And we're just asking God to do that.
I think it's so cool that you feel called to a place and you're even trying to, or you have tried to leave in the past, and God's like, nope, this is where you are, dude. And then as you just see that, working in the Spirit over and over again, that, don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like, the Spirit has really settled your heart to be like, yeah, this is my home. This is where I can pour into the community. That's super,
100%.
We've had a lot of people recently come on the podcast and talk about calling. In this time where people are taking a lot of jobs in the secular world, and there's nothing wrong with that. What we've been hearing is it's not about like pros and cons of both and what you should do. It's, do you have a calling to be in ministry? If so, you stay. If not, you can go. Like that's come up a lot. So
yeah, Dylan said that on your guys' podcast.
Oh my gosh, are we going all the way back to Dylan? It's like 100 years ago in podcasts.
Dylan is very influential. Dylan Howell, everyone.
Yeah.
What a good guy.
Okay, so we usually like to try and find a bit where we pit Blake against the guest.
Oh no.
And so, we had suggested
I told him not to do this.
Name that song, but you, Sweet Pete, did not feel like you had the confidence level to name these songs, which, Pete, it's Blake, dude. So I'm going to pick a new challenge between the two of you that I think, Pete, that you can do pretty well at. It's who can grow the best beard.
Oh my gosh, this is unfair. I almost want to call your bluff at this, but my wife would hate it because it's so bad. I look like a monster.
I mean, you're such a baby face, and like how much hair have you ever grown on your face, Blake?
So I at one point grew a face full of, don't say that on the podcast, a face full of beard hair that looked awful, and it was real curly and gross and scratchy.
Do you have any pictures of this?
I do. Actually,
Show notes.
I have one of me in a suit.
Oh my gosh.
It's real bad, guys.
I think you need to create an Instagram poll when this episode comes out of Blake versus Sweet Pete.
Better beard?
Beard pics.
Oh gosh. I'm so...
And see if you get any votes.
Oh no. I actually shaved my beard off whenever I was applying for a job at FMS, which is where I worked before at Church Gear. And when
I did the same thing.
That's what finally got me to do it.
Yeah.
But
my friends and I... Go ahead.
The problem is I suck at shaving so badly. I was trying to do it really quickly, and instead of going up and down, I went side to side.
Oh, man.
I still feel the pain, guys. I cut the crap out of my lip, and I was like, Burp. I ran it. I was at my in-laws' house, which is, already bad time. And so I run to my wife who's with her parents, and I'm like, they're going to think I have herpes. It was awful. Toby, this is the man that you hired after that incident.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, it has been one episode that you haven't fired Blake yet.
Don't do it. Wait, I've been fired like 3 times on this one.
I thought I've already fired you on this episode.
Yeah.
We need to start keeping count.
We should.
It's got to be a competition where people guess. Like
we offer a prize.
How many marbles are in the jar?
Yes.
Whoever gets closest. So how many times Blake gets fired in a year?
You could do like 20% off at Church Gear, which would give you, I don't know, depends on what you buy. You could save a couple thousand on something.
Save a couple million if you just want to buy everything.
Yeah. Come clear. Can you imagine how big that truck would be? All right. So, Sweet Pete, I actually have a curveball for you that Toby doesn't know about.
Uh-oh. You might get fired again.
We're doing a poll. You're a smart guy. You're a hat-wearing guy. We've got one and one. If you were going to have a Church Gear hat, would you want it to have our logo on the middle? Or would you want it to have Tech Yeah on the middle? Thoughts?
I think you do both.
That's what I said. Okay.
I think you do. I think you do church gear.
Oh, not at the
on
same
one-
time.
Oh yeah.
What are you just saying?
You
What are you
could do-
saying?
You could do like the little church gear logo, and then do a tech yeah on the other side.
I don't know about that, bro. I don't know
or
about.
you could do a church gear logo and then put tech yeah on the back.
I think it's funny because you gave him a poll that had two options, and somehow he failed the poll.
He created a third.
Tech, no.
Tech, no. All right.
I mean, I definitely would wear a church gear hat or a tech yeah hat.
All right, we're just gonna do both.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, so
Tech yeah.
Sweet Pete, you let us know before the show that you've listened to a couple episodes. We greatly appreciate that. So you know the end. I'm not going to say my long explanation like I normally do. What is your tech takeaway? What's the sweet tech takeaway of the Pete sweets?
Yeah, I might have a 2.
Oh, please hit me with 2.
Yeah,
well, hey, that makes sense because you've been on the podcast twice. You didn't give us one last time. You owe us 2, actually. You and Todd Elliott are the only 2 to ever be on twice.
Well, man, that's an honor.
That's true.
I am humbled and honored to be on the podcast twice.
Can you imagine if Todd Elliott and Sweet Pete co-hosted a podcast together?
I think that'd actually be a great combo.
Fascinating combo.
Oh, I would love that.
I endorse this message.
Todd Elliott, reach out. We'll do a podcast. So my 2 takeaways are my first one.
It could be tasty Todd and Sweet Pete. 2 adjectives to describe taste. All right, sorry, keep going.
You're all good. I mean, we can come up with names right now for any podcast we want to do. So my 2 takeaways are not sure who said this one, but I think it applies to most everything that I think of is done is better than perfect because perfect is never done. Once you get to 80%, you're good. Like you don't need to spend another 4 weeks to get to the other 20% because you will never get there. It's kind of Craig Groeschel's rule of like once you get to 80, like move on. My other takeaway is this: no one is better than you, and you are not better than anyone else. What I mean by that is that you have to show everyone the same level of respect and the same level of love, no matter their status in society or whatever. So I've been around a few celebrities in my past. I've mic'd up a few celebrities. And what I will say is, just so everyone knows, I wrote this down because I didn't want to mess this up. For my tech takeaway is, while working as a floor director, stage manager, you can mic up a celebrity right next to your next door neighbor. The celebrity is going to respect you because how you treated them, and the next door neighbor will feel like a celebrity because you treated them the same way. We all get up out of bed each day and we're all made in God's image. So it's that whole thing of everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be known, and everyone wants to be loved. So treat everyone the same. It goes a long ways.
That's what I keep telling Toby. Just see me, know me, and love me. Come on.
The problem is I see you and I know you. So you should probably remove those 2 caveats, and then maybe I can love you.
There we go. So blindfolded.
I feel like Sweet Pete wins for like the most thoughtfully prepared tech takeaway ever.
That was very well done.
Yeah.
My wife was a nurse before she was a professor, and she does not get enamored by celebrity. I'll get enamored by a G level celebrity. She's like, Blake, that person could end up pooping themselves in the hospital just like anybody else. And I was like, well, and because we live in Nashville, she's seen a couple. And I was like, well, yeah, but it's a celebrity poop. I don't know. This is off the rails. Pete, thanks for coming on.
I mean, oh, thank you. That's how we're going to end it?
I don't know. Give me something better.
Yeah, bye.
With celebrity poop.
No, give me something better, Pete. Give me one more retort. Oh, goodness. Oh,
so you want to plug anything?
Well, we're about to get the plugs.
I need to do the plug. Like, there's all sorts of other things that are part of this podcast that you guys do on a regular basis.
Oh my gosh, I did jump the gun from the plugs. I'm so sorry. And Sweet Pete's got some good plugs, so hit me.
Yeah. So one of my plugs is you can reach me on Instagram at sweetpete.w. I'm also a senior leader with Thought Leaders Connect. That website is tl.connect.com. That's just a place for church techs to come and hang out and talk and have fun, learn from each other, be in mentor circles. So come on over, say hi. I will say Thought Leaders and the mentor circles has gotten me through gotten me through a lot the last several years of doing it. And it's just all about community. I know there's Philo, there's MXU, they're all communities, and you can be part of all of them. We kind of focus a little bit more on the community leadership at Thought Leaders. So I have some guys that, yeah, I've been in some groups that have really carried me through some hard times. So
No,
I won't get through that right
Community
moment.
is so important, especially at churches where there's one tech director. Like there's just the one. You don't have anyone else that understands or knows you. So that's great.
Yeah, don't feel like you're on an island. Get in community.
Yes.
The other place that people can reach me is through email, and it's just p.wright@sungrove.org.
Oh my gosh, you just gave your email publicly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I already emailed them 3 times.
Yeah. But I think there's one way to end this podcast.
Oh, I think I know where it is. You need to do it, Pete. Go, go, go.
Yeah, I think it is tech, yeah, but you got this. We got this. Let's go.
There we go. That's a much better ending.
I thought he was going to fire you.
Blake, you're fired.
And there it is.
Thanks for listening. And hey, congratulations on surviving Sunday. If you happen to make it through next Sunday as well, join us again for your weekly Tech Breather.
Blake, I really thought I had fired you enough on this episode, but I know I've told you this recently. My son, my 10-year-old son, actually fired you. He was acting like me, and he was like, Blake, you're fired. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I that is pretty funny. Almost as funny as recently I read across a guy in the Bible in Nehemiah. His name is Tobiah, and he was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Toby, how do you feel about being named after a bad guy?
That's why I added the S.
Well,
S for super.
Well, you know, S is also what starts with Satan. So,
man, you're just getting... Now you're really fired. I think it would be hilarious if any of our listeners wanted to film themselves firing Blake and then sharing it.
That's it. That's it. That's a genuine OMG. Say why I'm fired from this episode, from anything you've ever heard about the podcast, you know, my recent bounce with Bon Jovi and U2, and post it and tag us, and we will repost it.